A few years ago, I had what most people call a good life. I earned well, lived in a nice apartment, and bought whatever I wanted. But at the end of each month, my bank account was nearly empty. I told myself I needed to earn more, but even when my salary increased, my spending did too. I was stuck in a cycle, working hard just to keep up with my lifestyle. Then, one day, everything changed. I was scrolling through my bank statements and realized I had nothing to show for years of hard work. I had spent thousands on things I barely used, expensive clothes, the latest gadgets, and fancy dinners. It hit me. I wasn't working for financial freedom. I was working to maintain a lifestyle I didn't even need. That moment, I made a bold decision. Instead of chasing more money, I would focus on keeping more of what I already had. I wanted to save not just 20% or 30%, but a shocking 80% of my income. It sounded impossible, but through minimalism and smart money moves, I made it happen. This is how I did it, and how you can too. Number 1. The mindset shift. Saving is a skill. Most people think saving money is about cutting back, but it's actually about changing the way you think about money. Saving is not just about numbers. It's a skill, like learning to cook or play an instrument. And just like any skill, you get better with practice. Before, I used to believe that saving meant giving up fun. I thought I had to stop enjoying life, say no to friends, and live like I was poor. But I was wrong. Saving is not about deprivation. It's about spending on what truly matters and ignoring what doesn't. I decided to flip the usual saving rule. Most people save what's left after spending. Instead, I saved first and spent what was left. This small change made a huge difference. It forced me to be smart about my spending. Another mindset shift was learning about abundance minimalism, the idea that having less can actually make you feel richer. I stopped filling my life with things and started focusing on quality over quantity. Less shopping, fewer impulse buys, and no more upgrading just because something was new. I also trained my brain to enjoy saving. Before buying anything, I asked myself 2 questions. Does this add real value to my life? Would my future self be happy with this decision? Once I mastered this mindset, saving 80% of my income became easy. It wasn't about sacrifice, it was about choosing freedom over stuff. Number 2. The 80% savings formula. Saving 80% of my income might sound extreme, but I found a simple way to make it work without feeling restricted. Instead of randomly saving whatever was left at the end of the month, I created a plan that made saving automatic and effortless. The first step was to focus on growing my money, not just keeping it in a bank. I allocated 40% of my income toward investments that would generate more wealth in the future. This included stocks, index funds, and passive income projects. I wanted my money to work for me instead of sitting idle. Next, I made sure my essential living costs were low, but still comfortable. I kept my rent reasonable, cooked most of my meals at home, and used public transportation or a used car instead of financing a new one. My goal was to keep my living expenses around 30% of my income, while still enjoying life. At the same time, I didn't want to feel like I was missing out, so I set aside 10% of my income for guilt-free spending. This was my fun money, used for travel, hobbies, and experiences that truly made me happy. Knowing I had this budget kept me from feeling deprived. Finally, I saved 20% in a high-yield savings account for emergencies and future goals. This gave me peace of mind, knowing I was financially secure no matter what happened. By following this formula, I was able to save 80% of my income without feeling broke. Instead of limiting my life, it actually gave me more freedom and control over my future. Number 3. The stealth wealth lifestyle. Why I live like I'm broke. Most people think that wealthy people drive flashy cars, wear designer clothes, and live in big houses. But in reality, many truly wealthy people don't look rich at all. They live simply, spend wisely, and let their money grow quietly. This is called stealth wealth, having money but not showing it off. When I decided to save 80% of my income, I knew I had to adopt this lifestyle. I stopped trying to impress others with expensive things and started focusing on what actually mattered: financial freedom. Instead of buying a new car, I kept driving a reliable used one. Instead of chasing fashion trends, I invested in a few high-quality pieces that lasted for years. Instead of rushing to buy a house, I chose to rent in a way that fit my financial goals. Living this way doesn't mean I'm depriving myself. It means I make intentional choices. Every time I see people upgrading their phones every year or buying luxury brands just for the logo, I remind myself that true wealth is what you don't see: a growing investment portfolio, a safety net, and the ability to make choices without financial stress. One trick that made this lifestyle easier was gamifying my savings. I turned saving money into a fun challenge. Each month, I tried to beat my previous savings rate. I found creative ways to cut unnecessary costs while still enjoying life. This turned financial discipline into a personal game rather than a burden. Over time, I realized that most things people buy are just for temporary happiness. A new car feels exciting for a few weeks, then it becomes just another car. Fancy clothes lose their appeal after a few wears. But the feeling of knowing I can quit my job anytime, travel when I want, or retire early, that feeling never fades. I don't live like I'm broke because I have to. I live this way because it's the smartest way to build real wealth. The less I spend on things I don't need, the more I can invest in the life I truly want. Number 4. Earning more without spending more. Most people think that to save more money, they need to cut back on everything. But there's another way: earning more while keeping your expenses the same. This is the real secret to building wealth fast. Instead of focusing only on saving, I also worked on increasing my income. But here's the key: I didn't let my spending grow with it. Whenever I got a raise or made extra money from a side hustle, I acted like it never happened. I didn't upgrade my lifestyle, buy a bigger apartment, or start eating at expensive restaurants. Instead, I put that extra money straight into my investments and savings. This simple habit allowed my wealth to grow much faster than if I had only relied on cutting expenses. I also focused on skills that made me more valuable in the job market. Instead of waiting for opportunities, I created them. I learned new high-income skills, took on freelance work, and built digital products that could make money even when I wasn't working. These extra income streams gave me financial security and helped me reach my savings goals faster. Another key factor was understanding the difference between active and passive income. I worked hard to build passive income sources like investments, online businesses, and rental properties. These continued making money for me without requiring my constant effort. The more I earned passively, the easier it became to save a large percentage of my income without even trying. By increasing my income but keeping my spending low, I created a huge gap between what I earned and what I needed to live. That gap became my financial freedom fund. The best part? I never felt restricted because I wasn't just saving, I was growing my money and my future. Number 5. The no-buy-year experiment. How I broke the cycle of consumerism. One of the biggest changes I made on my journey to saving 80% of my income was trying a no-buy year. For an entire year, I decided not to buy anything that wasn't a basic necessity. No new clothes, no gadgets, no random online shopping. At first, it felt impossible. I was so used to buying things whenever I wanted without thinking. But after a few months, something surprising happened. I stopped wanting to buy. I realized that most of my past purchases weren't because I needed something, but because I was bored, stressed, or influenced by advertising. Without shopping as an option, I found new ways to spend my time. I started reading more, going outside, and focusing on experiences instead of things. By the end of the year, my mindset had completely changed. I no longer felt the urge to shop just for fun. I saw how much money I had saved and how little I had actually missed. The best part was the freedom. I no longer felt controlled by consumerism. I now spend intentionally, buying only what truly adds value to my life. That 1 year completely changed how I see money, happiness, and success. Through minimalism, I learned that happiness doesn't come from owning more, it comes from needing less. When I stopped spending on things I didn't truly need, I gained something much more valuable: peace of mind. I no longer worry about unexpected bills or losing my job. I know I have enough to live on my terms. Financial freedom isn't about being rich. It's about having choices. Now, if you want to learn how to achieve financial success, then watch this video next. If you made it to this point in the video, please like and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.